This is the 8th video in a series on setting up a character to use Human IK in Maya 2012. This video I'm just going to continue weighting up the leg here. In the last video I showed how to weight the toe and the heel, or I'm sorry, the toe base and the main part of the foot. We'll just take a look at what those deformations are looking like. These have been tweaked just a little bit. Again, you want to maintain volume here, maintain volume in the foot, and create a crease where that toe is coming up, so that looks pretty good. And then same goes here as this comes up. Want to maintain as much volume as you can and just let it start creasing in there. That's the way I want to do these weights. I don't want to make everything all super rubbery and flimsy through here. So I'll just send that back to its bind pose. Select the skin, go skin, edit smooth skin, paint skin weights tool, and pull out the options. So this should already be basically set up, and this procedure should already be somewhat understood if you've seen the other videos. I'm just going to carry on and start doing it. Middle click and take a look at what we have. The knee is obviously not moving right at all, just completely crushing back here, and the front's just following completely down here. So what I'm going to do, same as I have been, is weight to the next joint up the hierarchy, and I want to resist these spans here with this next joint up the hierarchy. So I'm going to go ahead and select that, choose add, and then I'm going to be a little heavy-handed at first and just brush this up to sort of be a better base position. Something like that's probably going to be a better start point. And I'm not terribly worried about hitting these twice like I did. I just come back with the smooth brush at this point and just smooth that out. Okay, and then I can just continue painting that up. That already looks significantly better. Now I'll start adding with a little bit more care. So I'll just go the other direction here. Back up to the thigh. And what I'll try to do is make this retain a little bit of shape instead of becoming completely soft, but I think given this character and his limb proportions, I think this is just ultimately going to end up being a little bit rounded. Okay, so that's probably alright. I might resist a little bit this span right here. So again, I'll just hit that with add, and at 5% might be about right. So just allow this to sort of pull up a little bit to help ease that transition. Okay, and then bring down this next span up here. Go ahead and influence this to follow the lower leg just a little bit. And actually it looks to me like I maybe went a little too far up on that. So what I do is I just look at the flow of the edge loops and just try to make them nice and even as they go through the rotations of these joints. So that looks alright. For the front of the knee, again, I think with this character, I think I'm just going to have to accept a little bit of rounding happening here. And then obviously for the back, I can't even really work on it like this. I need to loosen that up. So I'll middle click and pull out. And again, from here, I've already got some significant crushing, so I'm just going to back that off even just a little bit further. Okay, so it's pretty clear what's happening. These spans here are following left leg, and everything else is following left up leg pretty exactly 100% here. So I'm going to go ahead and add now to left leg a little bit here, so this moves a bit to accommodate when this leg starts moving. I'll go ahead and move this up and just brush it into some. Again, this is going to be difficult to tell exactly what I have in terms of deformation quality because it's just barely moved right now, but it was crushing so quickly before. I pretty much just need to do this. And then just add a little bit up here as well. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll go to the next joint up the hierarchy and I'll resist in here some of this. And my brush is just a little too big. Okay, so something like that might work out a little better. Let's try it out with a little bit more extreme pose here. Okay, that's better, so we have a delayed crush that's happening now. go ahead and just start smoothing this thing out again, just with adding to make it hold that resistance a little bit. And it looks like probably what I need to do is bring these down. These are just traveling way too much early on here. So again, I'll just watch this topology, how it flows around here. I keep catching this guy here, so I'm just gonna have to smooth that. The spans are so close together, so I'll just go ahead and smooth this in now. And that should separate those guys right back out. Okay. So again, I don't want to go so heavy-handed with smoothing that I end up really crushing the shape and losing that volume. I want to maintain volume. But I do need him to be able to bend his knee a bit more than he's been able to so far. So I'll try it like that and see where we are. That's looking good. That's where I want that bend to start happening, somewhere around there. Obviously this form he's really losing form here, so I'm going to need to figure out where the compromise is. It's not bad though. It looks a little funky right now in terms of exactly how it's going across, but that's not bad. He's definitely losing a significant amount of volume here in the foot. And what I might do is just make this next span right here lose just a little bit of volume to help mask the fact that this is happening. So again, I would put that over to the left upper leg, and this is a long ways down to be weighting to the left upper leg, but obviously I need to resist a little bit more. So let me give that a shot, and I'm going to go really low on this one, maybe 1% or so, and just let these guys settle in a little bit instead of being so abrupt. Okay, and here I can see there's a little bit of a smoothing issue. I see. And I'm going to go back and forth just a little bit here. I'm going to try this by smoothing out just to get this deformation to look a little cleaner at first. And then I'll come back and I'll paint that in to hold that influence a little better. And hopefully I'll be able to be a little bit more accurate. So again, I want this to follow the left leg at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and add that back in at 1%, and I should be able to brush that in and make this nice and smooth. Again, my brush size is just getting in the way just a little bit. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. This area in here got a little bit hit by that brush overspray, so I'm just going to even that out. Okay, let's take a look at how that deformation's looking. It's a reasonable bend happening back here now. That's a really nice looking crease. I'm totally happy with that. Crease starts happening about the right point. I think that looks pretty good. He's definitely losing some volume as it moves, but again, since we balance that, you don't have any sharp points that are sticking out, making it look really obvious. So I think that's probably reasonable for the knee. Looks good to me. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to bind pose, and then follow the same procedure I've been doing on everything else. Actually, in this case, I should probably come through and at least smooth this out a little bit through here. And I'm just going to reduce my smoothing effect here. It doesn't all happen quite so at once. Okay, and I'll just double check that my deformations still look good here. Okay, definitely looking good there. I'm happy with that. And the front of the knee looking fine too. So I think we're good here. Only thing left, double check that I'm not accidentally influencing something I didn't anticipate. Take a look at what I got going on here. Everything looks pretty good. Make sure left upper leg. A little bit of a funky spot right here with left upper leg. I think I might as well smooth that in a little bit. Just makes for nice, clean looking creases if you have your topology basically even around those edge loops like that. Okay. Okay, so that's looking good, and I just want to make sure that I haven't accidentally pulled any of this right leg into the foot over here. Okay, so there's something that is somewhat common to happen. Somehow the right toe base has just sort of found its way over here. So I'm going to go ahead and lock this off. Let's see, not lock it off, drop it out. So set it replace value 0, make sure your opacity is back up to 1. Drop this out here. Okay. And then double check again that I don't have any really funky influence areas. Okay, looking good. So at this point I'm going to go ahead and prune small weights, and then again in this case, because of my options, it's going to drop out anything that's less than 1% influence. It'll just drop it as an influence altogether and redistribute that influence among the other joints. So then I would go ahead and lock off the left leg and ready to move on to the left up leg. So this guy should be a fine mess. Bring this forward. Obviously it's just getting annihilated through here. Same thing will happen when it goes back. So I just need to spend a little bit of time cleaning this up here. Again, I want to make a crease across here so that the leg sort of starts folding underneath here. So let me go ahead and go up to the hips in this case. I want to distribute this weight that is exclusive to the leg right now up to the hips. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. And again, I'll be pretty heavy-handed, maybe start at like 25% or so, and let this start pulling down. It's quite a lot easier to tell what you got if you go back up to your regular 1 for your max color here. And bring these down. And I'm not going to worry about being perfectly smooth here. I just want to get this roughly working, and then I'll just hit it with a smooth and see where we end up. So I want the stomach to stay relatively solid to around there, and then the leg to push up underneath. So let me go ahead and do a smooth on this, see where we get. Okay. Good, so that's starting to be the right thing. I would want the belly to hold more volume here, and I want it to follow out just a little bit further over here. So let me go ahead and smooth that. That's probably the thing that was causing that odd topology on the side. Just smooth that down there. And now I'm going to go ahead and go back to the hips and add some of this influence back in here. Oh, a little heavy-handed. So I'm gonna drop this down to maybe 5% instead of 25%, and then I can paint this with a lot more accuracy. And even moving at 5% at this point is going to be a little bit high, so I'll just go down to about a percentage. Okay, and then take a look at what we got. Start bending this thing. Good, so that stomach's holding its volume. In here I need to do a little work. And that crease is looking much better towards the outside here now. Okay, so really I think probably at this point it's a smoothing thing, so I might as well just go ahead and test that theory and smooth this sucker out. So once again you can see how powerful the smooth tool or mode is in the paint tool, but you just need to know where is that weight being redistributed to. So in this case that smoothed that out nicely. Looks pretty good for what I was thinking I'd have for deformation here. Now it moves back. Just take a look at what we have here. Okay. I like that crease. That feels about right to me. So the front of the leg's looking pretty good. Obviously, you can tell by this that we got some major problems back here in the rump. But I'm going to go ahead actually and go to bind pose and just pull this thing straight back. Something like that. Again, I'm going to just add, stay positive, add now over here, and I'll start in a very rough way, maybe 20% again. And just paint all these black ones back out to some value that makes more sense. And I want the leg to maintain its volume too, so I don't want to hit the leg too much here. I just want the butt to pull a crease through here. Okay, and again, smoothing through here should now do it. Left upper leg. Some of that could potentially go to the hip, so I might as well just go ahead and make sure that I've got that set up as another influence on these vertices before I run the smooth. I want to make sure, and this knows that when it pulls weight off of the leg, it goes to the hips and not to the spine or some other odd place that Maya might decide makes sense for this. I want to be light with this though, that's why I'm down at 1% so that I can make sure I know you know, the leg is maintaining volume. Alright, so should be ready to go in terms of smoothing. Okay. I think I've probably lost a bit of volume in the leg that I'll need to go back and fix now, but that should be looking better. Okay, let's give that a shot. Oh, nice little cheek. Looking pretty good. The leg is obviously losing volume here, but I like what's happening back here. Looking pretty good. Front still nice looking crease. So at this point, I think I need to go in and just make sure I clean this this leg back up. And again, I'll just add back to that. I'll stay positive as I add this weight. Instead of scaling off the butt, I want to add it, or off the hips rather. I want to add it back to the upper leg manually. Okay. So here's my crease point. I'm going to go ahead and build this up to maintain that leg volume right up to that edge loop. I'm going to build this up here. And eventually this will interpenetrate, but that is going to happen in a controlled way because of the way we're painting this sucker. Alright, so take a look again. On the pull back, looks pretty good. I like that crease area. A little bit of a funky spot happening right here. I'll take a look at that in 1 second. And then the forward motion here. Mesh is looking pretty good. It might just be the way the topology is structured over here that getting this odd shading here. Let me just take a look. I might be able to do something about this. Prevent this from caving in quite so much right there. Okay, so that looks like it's probably acceptable here. I'll probably add a level of smoothing on top of this once I'm done here, just to keep everything nice and clean. It looks pretty good. I'm alright with that. So now I need to test, since this is the hip, make sure my out motion looks good too. And again, for this guy here, I probably want it to dent in and maybe even create a bit of a crease to the side if he pushes real hard, since he's so fat. And actually that looks pretty good. So do the same thing I've been doing on everything else. Double check for odd weight distributions. Make sure the left up leg isn't affecting someplace that I don't expect. It looks good. And the hips are going to be left unlocked, obviously, because I have a lot of work that I need to do coming in here down the spine, and then I'll finalize the hips. So hips are sort of the last thing, and they basically never need to get locked. But my left upper leg doesn't look like it's affecting anything in any unusual way. Only thing I didn't check was in here as I made this pull. So let me just do that real quick. Looks like this could definitely use a little bit of a cleanup. So I'm going to make sure that hips have some control here. Looks like they do. So I'm going to go ahead and run a smooth in here just to keep this topology moving in a way that makes sense. Okay. Okay. Now the fact that this isn't pulling smooth here indicates that there's probably something else affecting this that I'm not taking into consideration. So this over here, I probably don't want that to have much of an effect past the center line here. So I might just go ahead and scale that out, or replace it out rather. Just go ahead and drop that influence out from the right leg. Okay, so again, a little bit on the funky side, but this right toe base has found its way in as an influence on this leg, which is not at all what I'd want to see. Drop that out. A little bit of extra influence from the spine there. I'll hit that as I come back through. Okay, so it looks like everything else is working as I expect it to. So now this guy hopefully will smooth out a little better than he was smoothing. There you go. And that's working the way I would expect it to work. Okay. Double check that that didn't actually push back to the toe base. Sometimes it's a good idea to, once you drop something out to 0, just go ahead and do a prune small weights anyways, because there's a chance that you have a thousandth or a 10,000th still hanging around somewhere that's affecting you. So let me go ahead and do that. I'll just prune those small weights, and then I'll double check on the hips. Again, this will be easier at 1 here, just to help smooth this out just a bit. And again, I don't want to be quite so heavy-handed, so I'll drop the opacity here, and just hit this a few times with the smooth, just to get the look that I want. Okay, so it looks like the odd influence that was happening over here, there's still something a little bit funky happening in this area, so I need to double check and see see where this is being reallocated. The hips might have a little bit more than I expect over here, but I suspect there's something still over here that's getting us, and there's a little bit of it. There's a little bit more that came back, so replace this out again. Again, I think this is largely due to the fact that I didn't prune small weights before I came through here and did my painting. So I make sure I get rid of all this junk. Okay, now see, this is still crushing in right here, so I can just double check it versus a neighbor to see what we have going on. So these are good influences. That's what I'd like to see. And then this is the other vert. Okay, so they looks like they have the same influences. It's just the weighting among them is a little different. So smooth should be able to clean that up. And see, here's something really funky. This is the kind of thing that happens sometimes. This is the thumb joint. I mean, why in the world would that have any kind of effect down here? But this is what I've got going on. So it looks like the thumb is actually affecting this area. So let me just go ahead and make sure and get rid of that. Okay, so there's the odd influence coming through there. I'll replace it. Let me just go ahead and run through all these guys real quick and get rid of all this odd stuff that's happening out here. So part of that is if you again don't have a second influence on a vert and you try to smooth or scale, then Maya tries to pick joints that make sense to smooth or scale too. And in this case, made some decisions that I do not agree with. So that's why you want to stay positive, always add in where you want the influences to be. And in this case, I probably will come through and unlock my left leg here so that I can do a smooth across here. Hopefully that'll help fix some of these odd problems that are happening. So smooth across there, and then probably hit that with the left upper leg as well. Smooth that in, and then smooth in the hips too. And you can see that now it's looking like that geometry is all following sort of the same. Okay, that looks a little better. Again, I'll try to just include sort of the odd vert that's left out here. And this is at 1%, so obviously this is a lot more extreme variation through here than what I would be seeing. I don't want to mess around too much out here because I liked the way my my creases were happening, so I don't want to mess that up. But I do just want to make sure that I have a reasonable bend happening here. Okay, I'm going to send this guy back. Double check what I have. Toes are still looking good. Make sure when the foot moves, good crease happens right there. It looks like it basically maintains volume. Pretty good looking crease. Knee looks okay. Not 100% perfect, but again, given the topology, I'm okay with that. Okay, I like the butt. I like the belly. Double check this going out. Good crease, not a lot of odd deformation happening there. I'd say this leg looks good. So I will once again follow the same process. Prune small weights. I always will double check these just because it's very easy for something to get influence somewhere where you didn't expect it to. So that looks good. Left upper leg. Doesn't look like it's influencing anything that I don't expect it to, so I'm ready to lock that too. And so now at this point, I'm done with the leg. And then I would work down the arm and do basically the same thing I did on the leg, so I don't think there's any particular reason for me to do that again. And then when I get to the spine, I'll do another video that just covers finishing this off. So the next step would be working down the hand to the wrist, and then down the thumb to the wrist, and then down to the spine. If I run into anything odd on the shoulder, I'll do a video on that, but otherwise I'll just hit the shoulder, the spine, and then the mirroring.